Excuse the interruption, but I'm Komrosky. Johnny, I'm so excited to be taken on as a member of the ETI team. I guess I must have really nailed my audition.
I'm Johnny Heisler. Your audition had nothing to do with it. We're doing a good cop, bad cop segment, so you got the job because of your extensive experience with handcuffs.
Would you like to elaborate on that statement?
No, I'll leave that up to the imagination of the viewers. Hello, boys and girls. On today's show, we have Mail Time, Good Cop, Bad Cop, and Fortune Teller. But as always, we start the show off with headlines. Jaden, give us your take on the football season.
I think it was a disappointment for everyone. It wasn't a bad season, but it wasn't what we were expecting at the beginning of the season. The early season-ending injuries to you and Riley, as well as losing Tatum for a couple games, put an end to our season. Those injuries cost us 2 wins at least, possibly 3.
Yeah, we weren't going to beat Thompson or North Prairie even without the injuries, but New Rockford and Midway would have been wins for sure. For the Cavalier game, Raleigh wasn't out for it, but he was far from 100%. We had the lead well into the third quarter, so maybe that could have been a win if he had been at full strength.
For the second straight year, the volleyball season ended with a loss in the region finals to Langdon. Johnny, did you see that coming?
After we beat them at the end of the regular season, I thought our chances were pretty good going to the regions. No one doubted that it would be anyone but us and Langdon in the championship game. I was hoping that we would have the momentum and the confidence that would have led us to another trip to state.
We looked like an entirely different team at Devil's Lake. We just weren't competitive.
The first set could have gone either way.
True, but the second set was brutal, 25-8, and 4 of those points came off Langdon service errors. The third set wasn't a blowout, but after we got out to a big lead early, it just slipped away.
Anytime you finish a volleyball season with just 2 losses, you've had a great year. When you've had a season like that, it makes it tough not to get to the state tournament. How does the upcoming hockey season look like?
The Firebirds are coming off a pretty bad season. They lost quite a few of their top scorers, so in that respect, it would seem like it could be a long season. But I don't follow hockey enough to know what other teams lost to graduation, so I'll hold off on making a definitive statement.
But it does look like that North Star will have 3 players seeing a lot of playing time on varsity this year, with the Miller twins and Cole Sinker on the upper lines.
That's it for headlines. We'll take a break and be back with Good Cop, Bad Cop.
Welcome to the precinct, boys and girls. I'm Officer Heisler. My partner is Officer Komrosky. Let's take a look at the first case. Are the teams in the state volleyball tournament all deserving to be there?
Well, they all won their region tournaments, so it's hard to say they don't deserve to represent their region. There may have been some upsets, but that happens every year.
Are you kidding me? There's probably 4 of the top 10 teams in the state tournament this year.
That makes no difference. Tournaments are never about who's in the polls. It always comes down to who wins the region tournaments.
That doesn't mean you can't get some bad teams in the tournament. Out of the 4 western regions, only our Redeemers would be ranked in the top 10, maybe even 15 or 20. The West is terrible in volleyball. Rugby was seeded second in their region. We played them twice and won by a combined score of 125-64. In Region 8, Ray was 16-16 just before the region tournament. Hazen in Region 7 has lost 15 games. Center Stanton in Region 5 has lost 9. That doesn't sound too bad until you realize that they didn't play in any of the top-rated tournaments, and a lot of their losses were to Eastern teams.
Well, Kindred is representing Region 1, and they were 18-18 until they won their last 6 matches.
But at least Kindred won by defeating 3 high-quality teams in their region tournament. Kindred going to state is an upset, but it was an upset that they earned. They didn't just get in because they were the best team in a lousy region.
So who should be in the state tournament?
If you want the 8 best teams in the state, only our Redeemer gets in from the 4 west regions. After that, North Star, Langdon get in from Region 4, Carrington and Lemoore from Region 3.
What about Medina? They only had 3 losses.
They're a possibility, but they lost their district championship and then lost in the first round of their regions. So that drops them down quite a bit in my rankings. I'd put in at least 2 teams from Region 1, Central Cass and Oak Grove. Most of their losses were to Class A teams in the Shield tournament.
What about Region 2, Park River or Finley Sharon?
That's a toss-up. They were definitely the two best teams in that region, but they still had 9 losses each. I'd be tempted to put in either Medina or Northern Cass in that last spot and leave out Region 2. Next case. Does 9-man football need 2 divisions?
This is a definite yes. The top 3 divisions have either 16 or 24 teams. 9-man has 45. There's just way too much of an enrollment difference between those 45 schools to make for competitive football. Look at the scores throughout 9-man football this year. The point spread on more than half of them is huge. North Star had 3 games that were within 1 score. The other 5 games had an average point spread of over 30 points. You can move the bottom 6 teams from Class A into 9-man and then split up those 50-odd teams into 2 divisions. And while they're at it, they could use the smaller field size for a 9-man, like Minnesota does. That would help teams that have to play almost everyone on both sides of the ball.
You could split 9-man into 4 divisions and you'd still have mostly blowouts. I wouldn't want to have to travel 4 hours for a game because the teams are so spread out. You also have a big point spreads in Class B basketball. Do you want to water that field down too?
In basketball, you don't get physically beat up like you do in football. Even the worst team in basketball can manage to score 30 points and improve themselves. In football, DVE doesn't learn anything from playing Cavalier or Thompson.
That's it for Cop Time. We'll take a break and be back with 2 new hosts.
Simsalabim and open sesame, boys and girls. It's fortune teller time. I'm Wizard Derek Lindseth, and I'm joined by the merely mortal Riley Lagasse. Let's take the first call.
What's up, guys? This is Andrew. Do you foresee the boys winning the Ramsey County tournament this year?
I think the Bearcats can win it this year. They've got all their starters and top subs back from last year. All the other teams lost some important players to graduation. It should be an easy first 2 games, and I think they've got a really good chance at the championship.
4-1's definitely lost some key players, but they are so deep that they just need to reload and come out firing again this year. It should be another year of 4 wins and North Star in the championship game, but I see 4 wins as the winner. Last call.
Hi, Derek. Which North Star players do you see making All-State in basketball this year?
Jaden and Macy made it last year as juniors, and there's no reason to think they won't make it again this year. That will make it 8 straight seasons for the boys, having at least 1 player on the All-State team. No other school can make that claim.
I agree with those 2 picks, but I think there's a good chance that Steph could make the girls' team this year as well. She averaged 15 points a game last year and got herself known at the state tournament. And I think there's an outside chance that Johnny might get some state recognition as well. Now we'll take a break so Macy and Peyton can take over.
Welcome back. Now it's
Mail time!
Proud Bearcat asks, who is more likely to make the state basketball tournament, the boys or the girls?
I think it's the girls. They made it last year and only graduated 1 starter. Kelly Hushley has decided to come back and play this year after sitting out last year. That will make a huge difference with our depth.
You've got to remember that Langdon has most of their team back from last year. Plus they add Ronigan and Freegee from Edmore. I'd say that reduces North Star's chances to less than 50-50. I give the boys about the same chance as the girls. Neither is an overwhelming favorite, but if the girls have a good night against Langdon, or the boys have a good night against 4 wins, either or both could go to state. Flap writes, will either basketball team have 3 players averaging in double figures at the end of this season?
Having 3 players in double figures would be nice. We'll have to see how things play out. Macy and Steph led the scoring last year. With myself, Maddie, and Maya returning, and Kelly rejoining the team, we should have some balanced scoring. We're just focused on playing team ball and getting it to the open person.
And you could easily score 10 a game if you decided to shoot a little more. The boys should easily have 3. Heisler, Komrosky, and Lagasse all scored 11 or higher last year. Oakland or Thomas could have quite a few games where they score over 10, but they'll probably be sharing time at the post, so I don't think either one will average 10 over the full season. That's it for the mailroom. Now it's time for the big finish. Peyton, how are the North Star alums doing at college this year?
Danny Grandy got injured before the MSU football season started, so he didn't play football at all this year. Sarah Higler had a good season for the Dragon volleyball team. She was second in kills and was also one of the top blockers. Her team didn't do so well, but for a redshirt freshman, she has to be pleased with her performance. At Jamestown, the basketball season has just started, but so far, Jake Heisler is averaging about 16 points a game and leads the team in minutes played. Christian Kvilvang didn't play too much in the first 3 games, but in his last game against Providence, he played 23 minutes and scored 8 points off the bench, so maybe he's earned some more playing time. Macy, are the injured football players going to be at 100% for basketball season?
Riley's knee injury mostly healed on its own. He still needed surgery, but it seems as though he'll be crashing the boards and floors at full speed on opening night. Fortunately for Johnny, he only had a head injury, so there wasn't too much to worry about there. He's also good to go. Peyton, how do you see the state volleyball tournament turning out?
The first round will be terrible. The 3 lower seeds will get crushed. After that, I think it's a toss-up between Lemoore, Langdon, and our Redeemers. But I'll pick our Redeemers to win.
We're all out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. Good night, boys and girls.
Good night, Candu.